Yeah, so I think there's kind of like if we're just not speaking from a non-technical side, I think at its core you can think of NFTs in two ways, right? Like number one, like you said, NFTs are absolutely a leveraged bet on the underlying asset, right? So if we're buying Ethereum NFTs, it is a leveraged bet on Ethereum, right? And I guess like the reason for that is when you're investing in an NFT project, the product itself really is community, right? And we can
Mm,
kind
mm,
of
mm.
and we can
That's
kind of
very true. It is community though, right? Because
yeah,
like,
yeah,
what else is it?
yeah, and Kobe put it one way like last year, right? When he said that like these NFTs are really just like shitcoins with a JPEG, right? And that's like that's
It
that's
is.
so true, right? But the
It
but the
is.
thing is, but the thing is, if you look at like communities for behind shitcoins, it's far more
Mm.
PV. It's way more anonymous. It's way more
Way
PvP.
more
It's
PvP
it's
because
way more
it's also scalable dump, right? Like you
exactly,
could you could you could have
exactly.
someone who's holding like 10-20%. So by nature, NFTs just are more fair because it's like there's no scalable mechanism.
Yeah, yeah, and so the thing is, it's kind of a funny thing, right? Because for NFT Fi to be more legitimate, we need that like liquidity slash ability to buy and sell to kind of
True,
increase.
true.
But
Yeah.
then as we do that, it becomes more like shitcoins, right? So it's kind of an interesting sort of dilemma there.
So, but in terms of like like valuing the floor, and like in terms of like how you would kind of like approach it, would you just say that like I mean like is it if NFT if we go with the thesis that NFTs are a community, then is it that NFTs are just a composition of like the community's net worth. Is that how it would be valued, or what would be like a more fair metric on that?
Like a scientific metric, that's really hard to
Yeah,
say. Yeah.
something like something where it's like a little more mathematical than okay, like for penguins, like yeah, Nansen's willing to pay 5 8 for it. Like you know what I mean? It's like yeah, I've always wondered how to accurately kind of like invest into NFT, like where it's like you start having some of the proxy bets like for DeFi, you start having revenues in terms of like real world revenues that are kind of coming in through transactions and various different like fees that are occurring as well as you have like the proxy bets based on the history of like other DeFi products and other token products that are out there. Plus you have like some of the correlation that you can do with like L1, the TVL of an L1, like all of that, right? Like you have a little more metric in terms of like you can mix and match. Where NFT, I just like that's where my thesis usually falls apart. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Azuki, okay, like 15 ETH, right? I know that people, like it is 15 ETH because people say it's 15 ETH, but like there's no other metric for me to like go off of other than that aspect.
Yeah, and so that is one major pain point, right? A lot of people they try to break it down into a science based off of trait, and so
Mm,
basically that kind of involves sort of tracking all of the trading activity for every single trait, and then combining all of that in a certain way to kind of project like a quote unquote value. But I mean the reality of the situation is a lot of the trading in NFTs, unless you're like super unless number one your bankroll is relatively like let's say comfortable,
mm.
and then two you're like super bullish NFTs, you don't like you're in it to hold for however long. I would say honestly
Yeah.
most people are trading at the floor, right? Or and
Yeah,
so
that's where the deepest liquidity is usually.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a pain point. There are definitely lots of projects that are trying to figure out how to segment different like rarities, and try to ensure how rarity gets like valued properly. But I mean
Right.
the reality of the situation is the floor price is king, right? Like that's kind of how you have to that's how you have to gauge as of right now. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a really good answer, and I agree, and I think that's part of the fun, right? Is well, we have to try to figure out, like, is there a better way? And sometimes there just isn't, and we learned that the hard way in in this industry, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes there just isn't a better way, and it's just like, well, we've reached the end, and then we have to figure out kind of a new way to approach it.